It's been 8 weeks on the carnivore diet, and looking back on it, some of it has gotten a lot easier, and some of it still remains pretty challenging. Before I get all that, you'll see on the other side of the screen, I've given you a quick recap of the results that I've had thus far, and also by the 6 daily goals that I set for myself every day. That in addition to sticking to the carnivore diet, because I do believe that you should incorporate some sort of physical activities, be it strength training or cardio and or both, um, to your regimen outside of your diet. So how has it gotten easier? Um, if I had to give you this to you in one line, it'd be that I've adjusted a lot of my behaviors, and my body has since adapted to some of the things that happen with a carnivore diet. Um, Now let's talk about the shopping. Like why the shop? I think the shopping's gotten easier. Now I know that I'll always have that fat kid in my head going, "Hey, get the Oreos, get those Oreos," right? I'll hear that little dude on my corner, on my shoulder, just like whispering that to me. But yeah, it's really simple. If it's not beef, if it's not chicken, if it's not fish, if it's not eggs, it's not going in the cart, right? It's a very simple checklist, and I think that's why this works for a lot of us. Again, in the past, I've talked about an aspect of like food addiction, and I really think that's what a lot of us are struggling now. I know some people are doing carnivore for a whole other set, like autoimmune issues, but for those of us looking at, hey, we need a tool for weight loss, because that's how I'm really using it, to kind of reset habits and really help me get more momentum going forward. That's not a fat joke, I promise. Um, it really takes the guesswork out of what you're doing. You don't have to sit there and do all this math of, oh, I'm hitting my macros, and I have a few base recipes, and I just kind of stick with those. They work in large part. Um, Now, the other way this has gotten easier is that I started sharing my journey, which you're like, Gary, what the hell? You've been giving us a weekly check-in all for 2024. How what do you mean, like, you're sharing it? Like, I'll be honest, this is something I didn't really tell my friends and family. I'm not embarrassed by it, but I think since it challenges so much of what people generally hear, I think it would probably scare them a little bit to, like, what do you mean you're not eating fruits and vegetables? Like, you tell anybody you're not eating fruits and vegetables, like, you would have told me that, before the carnivore movement started, and I started seeing YouTube videos a while back. If someone was to tell me that they weren't eating fruits and vegetables, I'd be like, that's a terrible idea. Me saying that, even though I was as big as I am still. I don't know if you guys can pick up that train in the background. It's so annoying. But yeah, I've started sharing that with family and talking about it more, and people in person. Obviously, I've been sharing with you guys, but I think it's made me more comfortable with it, and I think it'll start bleeding into some social aspects of, like, if I was to go over to a friend's house for dinner. I think that's something that, like, we'll make accommodations for somebody if they're vegan or vegetarian. Like, that's kind of accepted in society. You go to any like conference where they're providing lunch, and that they're asking, like, oh, what type of, do you have any dietary restrictions? I wonder if I was to pick, I'm a carnivore, but I just get a steak and everybody else gets, the shrimp fried rice or something. But I think in doing that, so if people know they invite me over, that's something to expect. Just like if you were to invite somebody who's Muslim, that if you only had pork, stuff that had pork in it in all different ways, they're not going to be able to eat it. You'd be like, hey, well, you can, but, like, I choose not to. So I think that's something that maybe we'll see socially. If carnivore really starts getting momentum, people will start making sure that, hey, if I'm inviting my friend over who's adhering to this diet, and I'm seeing the benefits they're getting from it, and I don't want them being able to come here and hang out with us for this one night to derail their progress. I think we'll start seeing that. So I think if you start talking about it with your friends and family, it's gonna naturally have a resonating effect with the surrounding and greater communities of where we live. But it starts with an honest and hard conversation. And I had one with my dad this weekend, and he's a type 2 diabetic, which I think that's something that, when we're talking, like, I think he reflected on it and he realized, like, my dad, when he was a young guy, I mean, when he was in the Navy, he played football, he was a running back, fullback. He was a physically fit dude. I think now for him to think that he has type 2 diabetes, I think it was a kind of a wake up call. And when I was telling him about the diet, I was like, Pop, like, you would love it. You could buy a ribeye if you have ribeye money. I don't, but you could buy yourself a ribeye every night for dinner and have that. But it's as much about what you're eating as much as what you're not eating. And he hit me up today and was like, hey, I'm making a steak. Like, do I get to eat the whole thing or just half? And I sent him some Ken Berry and some Sean Baker videos. Like, hey, watch these, take their advice. I'll support you with the information too, but I want you to know I'm just not making this up. So I think he's right now he's softly committed to a 90-day journey. Which means, like, I'm at the halfway point of what the distance of what he's planning to go for. But I told him, if you really want a chance to reverse your type 2 diabetes, like, a lot of people are getting significant results from this. So if you are, drop it in the comments. Let Pops know what type of support, what type of things you've experienced with it if you're a type 2 diabetic, and what benefits you've personally had from shifting to carnivore diet. And and those of you who are starting, just like my dad is, like, give it time and things will get better, but that first week or two can be especially tough. If you go back and watch my videos on that, like, there's different types of struggles that come about with this diet. Now, talking about some of those challenges, because they're not just, there's some challenges that are just very front loaded on this, but there's quite a few that are on the back end as well. But I've already touched on this, but the biggest one socially, especially for me, like, I don't have steakhouse money. I'm a graduate student. I get a very modest stipend. So going out, typically when we're going out with friends or a group or there's a school event, what's the cliche food for a department or a workplace to provide? Pizza, right? Everybody loves pizza and pizza's cheap. So I think for me, in social aspects, it's still very challenging to adhere to the diet. And every time I've had a cheat meal, it's been in a social aspect. And again, I'm hoping, I'm working on tightening that up. But again, I think it's just part of my journey at this point. Now, this might be a bit dramatic, but I had I don't want to call it a near-death experience, but for a second I could see my life flashing before my eyes. Now I was rowing, and at about it was an 18-minute row, and at minute 16, I look at the I'm looking at the display, but I had the thought popped in my head of, hey man, like, what we're rowing at, we have a chance to bring our 500-meter average below 2 minutes and 6 seconds. And I don't know, like, that's not a number I track so much when I am rowing, but I saw that and I was like, man, that might be that might be pretty cool to, like, just try to come under that. For whatever reason, just popped in my head, and instantly with those last 2 minutes ago, I said, I'm going to give this thing my all to make sure I bring it under that, because I had like I think it was 206.5, so I had a 0.5 second differential to make up for. And I'm rowing like a Viking, I'm just going, just rowing full bore. And with about 9, I remember seeing 17:51. Remember, there was 9 seconds to go on this row, and that's about the last thing I saw from the screen until I came back up, and it was 18 seconds, because I went back to row. And when you row, you don't hold it, like, you're not gonna grip it like a baseball bat, like super tight. You're actually gonna have it where it's kind of fairly loose. You're gonna hold it more just the fingertips. And so when I went to row, my hands are sweating. I slipped off, and I did like a full matrix. Keanu Reeves would have been proud of it. The only thing that kind of saved me is one, I was close enough to the wall, or actually like the it's not necessarily a closet, but it's like a cutaway in the wall, um, to where my head didn't hit anything, but my shoulder was just resting on the frame of this closet, and but I was just high enough to where I did the sorriest 3/4 of a sit up you've ever seen. I mean, it was pathetic. Like, and mind you, it's not the fact that just my core strength is crap. I was dog tired because for those last 2 minutes, I was pushing the pace to bring it under that 206 threshold that I just set in my mind. And I managed to do that sit up. I got up, unbuckled the feet, and I was like, man, that would have been a sorry way to go out. Death by inability to do a sit up. But yeah. So yeah, with the carnivore diet, for those of you who have been doing it for a while and those of you who are looking to start, there is a stigma to it, and it can be challenging, and especially with the social aspects of it. And I think some people, like, depending on who you're talking with, if you're looking someone on that, let's say the extreme side, somebody who's like on a vegan diet, they might be like, oh, if you're on the cart, you must hate animals. Like, I don't hate animals. Like, I love my dogs. I have 2 dogs. They're my everything. And, I would never harm them. I go out of my way to give them the best life that I can afford for them. And, but also I realize that, yeah, like, maybe there's a little hypocrisy, and like, yeah, there are some animals that I'm totally fine with eating. I see people could view it as such, but, I honestly had this thought the other day that, like, if the vegans wanted to prove that the carnivore diet was so bad, or vice versa, would anybody in that group be willing to commit themselves to that other diet for a period of time? Because, like, if you really thought, like, I think especially with the morality of veganism, like, if they really thought the carnivore diet was more, they think the carnivore diet's morally wrong, and I'm there to come out with this amazing health studies showing that it was so much better, and they had all these marked improvements, it'd probably convince people to stay away from it. Those of people looking at the carnivore diet for the health benefits, right? So I was like, would they be willing to sacrifice their their moral code, be like, oh, if I dedicate myself to carnivore, if 100 of us do it and we adhere to it strictly, and we'll show how bad the health repercussions are, so many people will avoid it that it'll make up for the animals that were lost in our adherence to the diet. I don't know. I thought, I was like, that's kind of a interesting, like, mental debate there. Like, would they be able to justify themselves eating those animals if it had a exponential effect moving forward? Obviously, I don't think anybody's going to do that, but I don't know. It's just interesting to me. But I got my results for you guys for this upcoming week, or for this past week, actually. So again, not another big week, not a big week, just down a pound. So still, needles going the same way. I'd like to get that back up to about 2 pounds. So I'm hoping this next week's going to be a little bit better. But hey, still making progress. I think if we were to scale out, this puts us at 19 pounds total, right, at 8 weeks. So again, we're to draw a nice linear line, which that's bad science just to assume the trend's gonna extrapolate out. That put us in, roughly multiply that by 6, that'd be 120 pounds on the year, right? Which would be, by, I think, anybody's effect. Like, obviously some of you are like, man, I want to lose more. Like, I know my end goal is much more than that, but I'll give you guys a teaser of a video I'm going to release later on this week. That my buddy says that, typically you can aim for like 1% of your body mass per week. Could be like a guideline, like up to that, like, should be safe. So if you're 200 pounds, that'd be 2 pounds, right? 300 pounds, 3 pounds. Anything more than that, you're probably doing a lot of having some negative side effects to your, in addition to your weight loss. So you don't want to, you shouldn't be just slamming down super quick. You want to make sure you're maintaining your lean muscle mass and not depleting your bones and minerals and such. So it's I think it's easy to get impatient, but just keep making progress out there. As for my changes for this upcoming week, again, we've gone up a minute on rowing. We're at 19 minutes. I have adjusted the dampener, but I haven't checked the drag factor, so I don't have that to report to you. I'll probably do that later in the week to have a number. So I'll have that definitely for the week 9 update, just as a reference. I'll as a teaser for this week, I could tell you, like, the rowing I did this morning. I'm recording this on Tuesday. This row this morning sucked. I think it was 200 to 300 meters less than the workout I did on Monday, and I was literally just kind of going through the motions. I just never got in rhythm, never got amped up, never got in the zone, and that's gonna happen. But I got through it. Got on with the rest of my day. So not every day is gonna be a wonderful, perfect day. You just gotta take your wins where you can. And like I said, I'm starting that new series with that buddy of mine who he's by so many measures a fitness expert. I would consider him one. And he's been willing to share his experience and confine it to the perspective of somebody who's a personal trainer, a wellness coach, helping somebody who's obese. So that's every time we talk, like, we're making sure it's like the interactions that me and him had in the framework of him having a conversation with somebody who's like me. So like the first episode I'll drop in a day or two is, if you haven't gone to the gym in 10 years, say, or even more so, you've never gone to the gym, you don't know how to work out, how would you start if you only have, say, hey, I have like $200 throughout the year to throw at this problem? And I gave him the other scenario of the same type of person starting, but their budget dramatically changes. And I don't have $200 a month, but I have $200 a year. Or I don't have $200 a year. I have $200 a month I could throw at this problem. And that's where we talk about personal trainers and more formal coaching and classes and stuff. So if you're thinking about, like, hey, maybe I should start working out, maybe I should start going to the gym, I think you'll like that episode. I plan on dropping that probably Thursday or Friday. So check out for that. And guys, I genuinely appreciate all the comments and support that comes through. Obviously it helps the channel and helping other people find the video, but it really personally helps me out so much. And it's been kind of interesting and very cool for me to see this community and the way it's kind of reinforcing and just the good vibes it throws to each other. So thank you for all you who like it, subscribe, and guys, that's what I got for you today. So keep making your progress out there. Keep taking those steps forward. And remember, guys, it's not that easy, but it is that simple. Take care, guys.